Welcome back to the audio bookshelf. We hope you enjoy the book, and please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons to get our latest content. Please enjoy The Mastery of Critical Thinking, presented by Theo E. David from the audio bookshelf. This essential guide will help you develop critical thinking skills crucial for effective decision-making and problem-solving, which are vital for both personal and professional success. You will learn how to identify and overcome biases, challenge assumptions, engage with diverse perspectives, and build mental resilience. This book is perfect for students, professionals, and anyone seeking self-improvement, as it empowers you to achieve your goals and thrive in all areas of life. Chapter 1: Introduction to Critical Thinking. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly navigate life's challenges while others struggle to make even simple decisions? The answer lies in the power of critical thinking. This transformative skill is key to unlocking your full potential, both personally and professionally. But what exactly is critical thinking, and why is it so crucial in today's fast-paced, information-saturated world? Critical thinking is often misunderstood. It's not about being argumentative or dismissive of others' ideas. Instead, it's a disciplined approach to thinking that involves analyzing, evaluating, and synthesizing information to form well-reasoned judgments and decisions. It's the ability to step back from your immediate reactions and examine situations objectively, considering multiple perspectives and potential outcomes. Many people mistakenly believe that critical thinking is an innate talent. You either have it or you don't. This couldn't be further from the truth. Critical thinking is a skill that can be developed and honed over time, much like a muscle that grows stronger with regular exercise. By cultivating this skill, you'll find yourself better equipped to solve complex problems, make informed decisions, and navigate the uncertainties of life with confidence. The benefits of mastering critical thinking extend far beyond the classroom or workplace. In your personal life, it can help you build stronger relationships by improving your communication skills and empathy. You'll be better able to understand different viewpoints, resolve conflicts, and make decisions that align with your values and goals. Professionally, critical thinking is increasingly sought after by employers across all industries. It's the skill that sets apart leaders and innovators from those who simply follow instructions. As you embark on this journey to enhance your critical thinking skills, you'll discover that it's not just about changing how you think, it's about transforming your entire approach to life. You'll learn to question assumptions, challenge your own biases, and approach problems with creativity and open-mindedness. This book will guide you through this transformation, providing practical tools, exercises, and insights to help you develop a critical thinking mindset. In the chapters that follow, we'll explore the foundations of critical thinking, delve into the intricacies of logical reasoning, and uncover the hidden biases that can cloud our judgment. You'll learn powerful techniques for problem-solving, decision-making, and effective communication. But before we dive into these topics, we must first turn our attention inward. To truly master critical thinking, we must first understand the complex landscape of our own minds. As we close this introductory chapter, ask yourself, are you ready to challenge your assumptions, expand your perspective, and unlock your full potential? The journey ahead may not always be easy, but the rewards are immeasurable. In the next chapter, we'll begin by exploring the fascinating world of your thought patterns, the first step in transforming your mindset for ultimate personal growth. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to the audio bookshelf and activate notifications to receive more self-improvement tips that will supercharge your growth. Chapter 2: Understanding Your Thought Patterns. Imagine for a moment that your mind is a vast, unexplored territory. Within its borders lie hidden treasures of insight and creativity, but also treacherous pitfalls of bias and misconception. To navigate this complex landscape effectively, you must first become intimately familiar with its terrain. This is where the journey of critical thinking truly begins, with self-awareness. Self-awareness is the cornerstone of critical thinking. It's the ability to observe your own thoughts, emotions, and behaviors as if you were an impartial spectator. This skill allows you to recognize patterns in your thinking, identify your strengths and weaknesses, and understand how your experiences and beliefs shape your perceptions of the world. One powerful technique for developing self-awareness is mindfulness. By practicing mindfulness, you learn to pay attention to your thoughts and feelings in the present moment, without judgment. This can be as simple as taking a few minutes each day to sit quietly and observe the flow of your thoughts. As you do this regularly, you'll start to notice recurring themes, emotional triggers, and habitual thought patterns that you may have never recognized before. Another valuable tool for understanding your thought patterns is reflective journaling. By writing down your thoughts, experiences, and reactions, you create a tangible record of your inner world. Over time, this record can reveal insights about your decision-making processes, emotional responses, and underlying beliefs. You might notice, for example, that you tend to jump to conclusions in certain situations, or that you have a habit of catastrophizing minor setbacks. As you become more aware of your thought patterns, you'll likely encounter some uncomfortable truths. We all have cognitive biases, systematic errors in thinking that can lead to irrational judgments and decisions. These biases are deeply ingrained and often operate below the level of conscious awareness. For instance, confirmation bias leads us to seek out information that confirms our existing beliefs while ignoring contradictory evidence. The availability heuristic causes us to overestimate the likelihood of events that are easily remembered or imagined. Recognizing these biases in yourself can be challenging, but it's a crucial step in developing critical thinking skills. By acknowledging your biases, you can begin to counteract their influence on your decision-making and problem-solving processes. One effective way to uncover hidden biases and assumptions is to seek feedback from others. This requires a willingness to be vulnerable and open to criticism, qualities that are essential for personal growth. Ask trusted friends, colleagues, or mentors for their honest opinions about your strengths and weaknesses. Their perspectives can provide valuable insights that you might miss through self-reflection alone. As you delve deeper into understanding your thought patterns, you'll likely encounter resistance from your own mind. It's natural to feel defensive or uncomfortable when confronting long-held beliefs or habits. But remember, this discomfort is a sign of growth. Embracing it is key to developing the mental flexibility necessary for critical thinking. By the end of this chapter, you should have a clearer picture of the complex landscape of your mind. But this is just the beginning. As we move forward, you'll learn how to use this self-awareness as a foundation for developing more advanced critical thinking skills. In the next chapter, we'll explore the fundamental principles of critical thinking and begin to build the toolkit you'll need to navigate even the most complex intellectual terrain. Chapter 3: The Fundamentals of Critical Thinking. Picture yourself as an explorer, standing at the edge of a vast, uncharted wilderness. The terrain before you is your own mind, and the map in your hands is critical thinking. But like any skilled explorer, you need more than just a map. You need the right tools and skills to navigate this challenging landscape. In this chapter, we'll equip you with the fundamental tools of critical thinking, logical reasoning, and evidence-based thinking. Logical reasoning is the backbone of critical thinking. It's the process of drawing conclusions based on evidence and sound argumentation. At its core, logical reasoning involves identifying premises, the information or assumptions you start with, and following them through to their logical conclusions. This might sound abstract, but it's something we do every day, often without realizing it. For example, consider a simple syllogism: all cats are mammals. Fluffy is a cat. Therefore, Fluffy is a mammal. This is a basic form of deductive reasoning, where if the premises are true, the conclusion must also be true. As we delve deeper into logical reasoning, you'll learn to recognize and construct more complex arguments, as well as identify flaws in reasoning known as logical fallacies. Logical fallacies are errors in reasoning that can lead to false conclusions, even when the premises seem sound. Some common fallacies include the ad hominem attack, dismissing an argument based on personal characteristics of the arguer rather than the argument itself, the false dichotomy, presenting only two options when other alternatives exist, and the slippery slope, assuming that one event will inevitably lead to a chain of related events without evidence for such a connection. By learning to recognize these fallacies, you'll not only be able to spot flaws in others' arguments, but also avoid them in your own thinking. This skill is invaluable in an age where we're constantly bombarded with persuasive messaging, from advertising to political rhetoric. But logical reasoning alone isn't enough. Critical thinking also requires a commitment to evidence-based thinking. This means basing your conclusions on verifiable facts and reliable data rather than personal beliefs, emotions, or anecdotes. It involves seeking out high-quality sources of information, evaluating the credibility of evidence, and being willing to change your mind when presented with new, compelling information. Developing this evidence-based mindset requires cultivating several key attitudes: curiosity, open-mindedness, and intellectual humility. Curiosity drives us to ask questions, seek out new information, and explore alternative perspectives. Open-mindedness allows us to consider ideas that may challenge our existing beliefs. Intellectual humility is the recognition that our knowledge is always incomplete and that we can learn from others, even, or especially, when we disagree with them. These attitudes form the foundation of what we might call a critical thinking mindset. This mindset is characterized by a willingness to question assumptions, including your own, a healthy skepticism towards claims that lack evidence, and a commitment to ongoing learning and growth. Developing this mindset isn't always easy. It requires us to step out of our comfort zones, confront our own biases, and sometimes admit that we were wrong. But the rewards are immense. With a critical thinking mindset, you will be better equipped to navigate complex issues, make well-informed decisions, and engage meaningfully with diverse perspectives. As we conclude this chapter, you should have a solid grasp of the fundamental principles of critical thinking. You understand the importance of logical reasoning and evidence-based thinking, and you're developing the attitudes necessary for a critical thinking mindset. But knowing these principles is just the first step. To truly master critical thinking, we must learn to apply these skills in the face of one of the greatest challenges to clear thinking, our own cognitive biases. In the next chapter, we'll delve into the fascinating world of cognitive biases, exploring how they influence our thinking and learning powerful strategies to overcome them. Chapter 4: Overcoming Cognitive Biases. Imagine you're playing a game of chess, confident in your strategy and anticipating your opponent's moves. Suddenly, you realize that half the pieces on your side of the board were invisible to you all along. This scenario mirrors the challenge we face with cognitive biases. They're the hidden players in our mental game, influencing our decisions and judgments without our awareness. In this chapter, we'll shine a light on these invisible pieces and learn how to regain control of the board. Cognitive biases are systematic errors in thinking that affect our judgments and decision-making. They're not character flaws or signs of low intelligence. In fact, they're a natural result of our brain's attempt to simplify information processing. These mental shortcuts, or heuristics, often serve us well in everyday situations. But in complex scenarios requiring critical thinking, they can lead us astray. One of the most pervasive biases is confirmation bias, our tendency to search for, interpret, and recall information in a way that confirms our pre-existing beliefs. It's why we're quick to accept evidence that supports our views and scrutinize or dismiss evidence that contradicts them. For instance, if you believe that a certain diet is the best for health, you might eagerly share articles supporting your view while ignoring or critiquing studies that suggest otherwise. Another common bias is the anchoring effect, where we rely too heavily on the first piece of information we encounter when making decisions. This is why the initial price of a car can significantly influence negotiations, even if that price is arbitrary. The availability heuristic is yet another bias, causing us to overestimate the likelihood of events that are easily remembered or imagined. This is why people often fear plane crashes more than car accidents, despite the latter being statistically more dangerous. Recognizing these biases is the first step towards overcoming them. But awareness alone isn't enough. We need strategies to counteract their influence. One powerful approach is to actively seek out information that challenges your existing beliefs. This doesn't mean you have to change your mind on every issue, but it does mean giving fair consideration to opposing viewpoints. Try following news sources or thought leaders with different perspectives than your own. Engage in respectful debates with people who hold different views. The goal isn't to win arguments, but to broaden your understanding. Another effective strategy is to practice mental flexibility. This involves deliberately considering alternative explanations or outcomes for a given situation. When you find yourself jumping to a conclusion, pause and ask, what other possibilities am I not considering? This simple question can open up new avenues of thought and help you avoid the pitfalls of narrow thinking. Developing a habit of seeking diverse perspectives can also help combat biases. When making important decisions, consult with people who have different backgrounds, experiences, or areas of expertise than your own. Their insights can help you see blind spots in your thinking and consider factors you might have overlooked. It's also crucial to cultivate intellectual humility, the recognition that your knowledge is limited and that you can learn from others. This attitude makes it easier to admit when you're wrong and to change your mind in light of new evidence. Remember, changing your mind isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of growth and intellectual maturity. As you work to overcome cognitive biases, you'll likely encounter resistance from your own mind. Our biases are deeply ingrained, and challenging them can feel uncomfortable or even threatening. But this discomfort is a sign that you're pushing beyond your mental comfort zone, and that's where real growth happens. By the end of this chapter, you should have a clear understanding of common cognitive biases and strategies to counteract them. You're developing the mental flexibility and open-mindedness necessary to see beyond your own perspective and consider alternative viewpoints. But recognizing biases and thinking flexibly are just part of the critical thinking toolkit. To truly master these skills, we need to apply them to real-world challenges. Are you ready to put your newfound knowledge and skills to the test? In the next chapter, we'll explore effective problem-solving techniques, learning how to approach complex issues systematically and creatively. You'll discover how to break down seemingly insurmountable problems into manageable parts and generate innovative solutions. The game is about to get more challenging and more rewarding. Chapter 5: Effective Problem-Solving Techniques. Imagine standing before a giant, tangled knot. At first glance, it seems impossibly complex, with no clear beginning or end. This knot represents the challenging problems we often face in life, daunting, intricate, and seemingly unsolvable. But armed with the right techniques, even the most complex knots can be unraveled. In this chapter, we'll explore powerful problem-solving methods that will transform the way you approach challenges. The first step in effective problem-solving is to clearly define the issue at hand. Often, what appears to be a single problem is actually a cluster of interconnected issues. By breaking down the larger problem into smaller, more manageable components, you can begin to see potential solutions more clearly. This process, known as problem decomposition, is like isolating individual threads in our metaphorical knot. Once you've identified the core components of the problem, it's time to gather information. This step is crucial and often overlooked. Many people rush to solve problems without fully understanding them, leading to ineffective solutions. Cast a wide net in your information gathering. Consider different perspectives, consult experts if possible, and look for patterns or trends that might provide insight into the problem's root causes. With a clear understanding of the problem and relevant information in hand, it's time to generate potential solutions. This is where creativity comes into play. Brainstorming is a powerful tool for this stage. The key to effective brainstorming is to suspend judgment initially and encourage a free flow of ideas, no matter how outlandish they might seem. Remember, sometimes the most innovative solutions come from seemingly crazy ideas. Once you have a list of potential solutions, it's time to evaluate them. This is where your critical thinking skills really come into play. Consider the pros and cons of each solution, their feasibility, potential outcomes, and unintended consequences. It's important to be as objective as possible during this stage, setting aside personal preferences or biases. After careful evaluation, select the most promising solution and develop an implementation plan. Break down the solution into actionable steps, assign responsibilities if working with a team, and set clear timelines. But remember, problem solving doesn't end with implementation. It's crucial to monitor the results and be prepared to make adjustments if needed. One of the most powerful problem-solving techniques is the ability to reframe the problem. Sometimes, the way we define a problem limits our ability to solve it. By looking at the issue from different angles or perspectives, we might uncover innovative solutions we hadn't considered before. As you develop your problem-solving skills, you'll likely encounter obstacles. You might feel stuck, overwhelmed, or frustrated. When this happens, remember that these feelings are a normal part of the process. Take a step back, give yourself some mental space, and return to the problem with fresh eyes. Sometimes, the solution becomes clear when we stop actively trying to force it. By the end of this chapter, you should have a robust toolkit for tackling complex problems. You understand the importance of clearly defining issues, gathering information, generating and evaluating solutions, and implementing and monitoring your chosen approach. But effective problem solving is just one piece of the critical thinking puzzle. To truly master these skills, we need to learn how to analyze information and arguments with precision and clarity. In the next chapter, we'll delve into the art of analyzing information and arguments, equipping you with the tools to separate fact from fiction and solid reasoning from fallacious logic. Chapter 6: Analyzing Information and Arguments. Picture yourself as a detective, standing at the scene of an intellectual crime. Before you lies a tangled web of claims, evidence, and conclusions. Your task? To unravel this web, separate truth from fiction, and expose faulty reasoning. This is the essence of analyzing information and arguments, a crucial skill in the critical thinker's arsenal. At the heart of this skill is the ability to dissect an argument into its component parts. Every argument, no matter how complex, can be broken down into three basic elements: claims, premises, and conclusions. Claims are assertions about what is true or what should be done. Premises are the reasons or evidence given to support the claims. The conclusion is what the argument is trying to prove or persuade you to believe. Consider this simple argument: all dogs are mammals. Fido is a dog. Therefore, Fido is a mammal. Here, all dogs are mammals and Fido is a dog are the premises, while Fido is a mammal is the conclusion. By breaking down arguments in this way, you can more easily evaluate their strength and identify potential flaws. Once you've identified the components of an argument, the next step is to evaluate the evidence. This involves asking critical questions. Is the evidence relevant to the claim? Is it reliable and from a credible source? Is it sufficient to support the conclusion? Be wary of anecdotal evidence or cherry-picked data that might not represent the full picture. As you analyze arguments, you'll often encounter patterns in reasoning. Some of these patterns are valid and strengthen an argument, while others are fallacious and weaken it. For instance, the pattern of reasoning in our Fido example, known as a syllogism, is valid. If the premises are true, the conclusion must be true. However, many arguments use invalid patterns of reasoning. For example, the slippery slope fallacy assumes that one event will inevitably lead to a chain of related events without providing evidence for this connection. If we allow same-sex marriage, next people will want to marry animals, is a classic example of this fallacy. Another common flaw in reasoning is the confusion of correlation with causation. Just because two things occur together doesn't mean one caused the other. For instance, there might be a correlation between ice cream sales and drowning incidents, but that doesn't mean ice cream causes drowning. In reality, both might increase in summer months. As you hone your skills in analyzing arguments, you'll also need to be alert to hidden assumptions and unstated premises. Often, what's not said in an argument can be just as important as what is said. For example, someone might argue, we should cut taxes to stimulate economic growth. This argument assumes that lower taxes always lead to economic growth, an assumption that should be examined critically. Developing these analytical skills takes practice. Start by applying them to everyday situations. Analyze advertisements, political speeches, or opinion pieces in newspapers. As you do this, you'll likely find that many arguments that initially seemed persuasive don't hold up under scrutiny. Remember, the goal of this analysis isn't to win arguments or prove others wrong. Instead, it's about developing a clearer understanding of complex issues and making more informed decisions. By sharpening your analytical skills, you're equipping yourself to navigate the sea of information we encounter daily, separating valuable insights from misleading claims. As we conclude this chapter, you should feel more confident in your ability to break down and evaluate arguments. You understand the importance of identifying claims, premises, and conclusions, evaluating evidence, and recognizing common patterns and flaws in reasoning. But in our increasingly interconnected world, effective critical thinking requires more than just analyzing individual arguments. We need to be able to engage with diverse perspectives and synthesize insights from multiple viewpoints. In the next chapter, we'll explore strategies for engaging with diverse perspectives, building empathy, and integrating multiple viewpoints into your decision-making process. Chapter 7: Engaging with Diverse Perspectives. Imagine stepping into a room where every wall is a different color, each representing a unique perspective on the world. As you move around the room, your view shifts, revealing new combinations of colors and shades you hadn't noticed before. This kaleidoscope of perspectives is not unlike the diverse viewpoints we encounter in our increasingly interconnected world. In this chapter, we'll explore how engaging with these diverse perspectives can enrich our understanding and sharpen our critical thinking skills. The value of diverse viewpoints cannot be overstated. When we expose ourselves to different perspectives, we challenge our assumptions, broaden our understanding, and often arrive at more nuanced and robust solutions to complex problems. It's like adding new colors to our palette. The more colors we have, the richer and more vibrant our picture of the world becomes. But engaging with diverse perspectives isn't always easy. It requires us to step out of our comfort zones and confront ideas that may challenge our deeply held beliefs. This can be uncomfortable, even unsettling at times. However, it's precisely this discomfort that often leads to the most significant growth and insight. One powerful strategy for seeking out alternative perspectives is to deliberately expose yourself to sources of information that challenge your existing views. If you lean liberal, read conservative publications, and vice versa. If you're a scientist, engage with literature and the humanities. The goal isn't to change your mind on every issue, but to understand different viewpoints and the reasoning behind them. As you engage with diverse perspectives, it's crucial to practice active listening. This means truly hearing what others are saying, rather than simply waiting for your turn to speak. Try to understand not just what someone is saying, but why they're saying it. What experiences have shaped their viewpoint? What values or assumptions underlie their position? Building empathy is another key aspect of engaging with diverse perspectives. Empathy allows us to see the world through someone else's eyes, even if we don't agree with their conclusions. It helps us recognize that most people, regardless of their views, are trying to do what they believe is right based on their understanding and experiences. One effective technique for building empathy and understanding diverse perspectives is the practice of steel manning. This is the opposite of straw manning, where you attack a weak or exaggerated version of someone's argument. In steel manning, you try to articulate the strongest possible version of someone else's argument, even if you ultimately disagree with it. This not only helps you understand their perspective better, but also strengthens your own critical thinking by forcing you to engage with the most robust version of opposing views. As you become more adept at engaging with diverse perspectives, you'll find that decision-making becomes both more challenging and more rewarding. You'll have a richer set of options to consider and a more nuanced understanding of the potential consequences of your choices. One useful technique for integrating multiple perspectives in decision-making is to play devil's advocate with yourself or your team. Deliberately argue against your preferred option, or assign team members to advocate for different perspectives. This can help uncover potential flaws in your thinking and lead to more robust decisions. It's important to note that engaging with diverse perspectives doesn't mean abandoning your own values or beliefs. The goal is not to achieve a bland consensus where all viewpoints are seen as equally valid. Rather, it's about enriching your understanding, challenging your assumptions, and arriving at more thoughtful and well-reasoned positions. As we conclude this chapter, you should have a deeper appreciation for the value of diverse perspectives and some practical strategies for engaging with them. You understand the importance of active listening, building empathy, and integrating multiple viewpoints into your decision-making process. But engaging with diverse perspectives is just one aspect of effective decision-making. To truly master this crucial skill, we need to explore a range of decision-making strategies that can help us navigate even the most complex choices. In the next chapter, we'll delve into powerful decision-making strategies that will equip you to tackle both everyday choices and life-changing decisions with clarity and wisdom, even in the face of uncertainty. Chapter 8: Decision-Making Strategies for Success. Picture yourself standing at a crossroads, with countless paths stretching out before you. Each path represents a potential decision, and the landscape ahead is shrouded in the mist of uncertainty. This is the essence of decision-making, choosing a path forward in the face of incomplete information and unpredictable outcomes. In this chapter, we'll explore strategies to help you navigate this complex terrain with confidence and wisdom. At its core, effective decision-making is a process, not a single moment of choice. It begins with clearly defining the decision to be made and gathering relevant information. This might seem obvious, but many poor decisions stem from a failure to properly frame the problem or collect adequate data. Take the time to ensure you understand the full scope of the decision and have as much relevant information as possible. Once you've gathered information, the next step is to identify and evaluate your options. This is where your critical thinking skills come into play. Consider the potential outcomes of each option, both short-term and long-term. What are the risks and benefits? How do these options align with your goals and values? Be sure to consider not just the obvious choices, but also creative alternatives that might not be immediately apparent. One powerful tool for evaluating options is the decision matrix. This involves listing your options and the criteria that are important for the decision, then scoring each option against these criteria. This can help you objectively compare complex choices and identify the option that best meets your needs. As you evaluate your options, be aware of the balance between logic and intuition. While it's important to analyze the facts and data, don't discount your gut feelings. Intuition is often the result of subconscious pattern recognition based on past experiences. The key is to use both logic and intuition in a balanced way, rather than relying solely on one or the other. Another crucial aspect of decision-making is managing uncertainty. In many situations, we simply don't have all the information we'd like. One strategy for dealing with this is scenario planning. This involves imagining different possible futures and considering how your decision might play out in each scenario. This can help you identify potential risks and opportunities you might otherwise overlook. It's also important to be aware of common decision-making pitfalls. One of these is analysis paralysis, getting so caught up in gathering information and analyzing options that you never actually make a decision. Remember, in many cases, making a timely decision is more important than making a perfect decision. Another common pitfall is groupthink, where the desire for harmony or conformity in a group results in irrational or dysfunctional decision-making. To combat this, encourage dissenting opinions and consider appointing a devil's advocate to challenge the group's assumptions. As you develop your decision-making skills, you'll likely encounter situations where you feel stuck or overwhelmed. When this happens, try using techniques like the 5 whys, repeatedly asking why to get to the root of the problem, or the Eisenhower matrix, prioritizing decisions based on their importance and urgency. Sometimes, simply changing how you frame the problem can lead to breakthrough insights. Remember, the goal of these strategies isn't to eliminate all risk or uncertainty from your decisions. Rather, it's to help you make informed, well-reasoned choices that align with your goals and values. Even with the best decision-making process, there will always be an element of uncertainty. The key is to be comfortable with this uncertainty and ready to adapt as new information becomes available. As we conclude this chapter, you should feel equipped with a range of strategies to enhance your decision-making. You understand the importance of framing problems clearly, gathering information, evaluating options objectively, and managing uncertainty. But effective decision-making is just one piece of the puzzle. To truly thrive in our complex world, we need to develop mental resilience, the ability to adapt, learn, and grow in the face of challenges and setbacks. In the next chapter, we'll explore powerful strategies for building mental resilience, equipping you with the tools to face adversity with confidence and turn setbacks into opportunities for growth. Chapter 9: Building Mental Resilience. Imagine yourself as a mighty oak tree, standing tall amidst a raging storm. The winds howl, and the rain lashes, but your roots run deep, and your trunk stands firm. This is the essence of mental resilience, the ability to withstand life's storms, bend without breaking, and emerge stronger from adversity. In this chapter, we'll explore how to cultivate this vital quality and harness its power to enhance your critical thinking and overall well-being. Mental resilience is more than just toughing it out or maintaining a stiff upper lip in the face of challenges. It's a dynamic process that involves adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress. Resilience allows us to bounce back from setbacks, learn from failures, and even thrive under pressure. The foundation of mental resilience lies in understanding and managing our emotions. This doesn't mean suppressing or ignoring our feelings, but rather developing emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and effectively manage our emotions. By cultivating emotional intelligence, we can respond to challenges with clarity and purpose, rather than reacting impulsively based on raw emotion. One powerful technique for building emotional intelligence is mindfulness meditation. This practice involves focusing your attention on the present moment, acknowledging and accepting your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Regular mindfulness practice can help you develop greater self-awareness, reduce stress, and improve your ability to regulate your emotions. Another crucial aspect of mental resilience is developing a growth mindset. This concept, popularized by psychologist Carol Dweck, involves believing that our abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort, learning, and persistence. People with a growth mindset view challenges as opportunities for growth rather than threats to their self-image. They embrace failure as a learning experience rather than a reflection of their worth. Thanks for listening, and please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons and also click the small bell icon to receive a notification every time a new free audiobook has arrived. Thanks again.